My friends, you might want to take a seat for this one because it is Friday, October 13th. It's 3:52 a.m. and man, it's spooky, man. It's some spooky stuff that I came across during this rabbit hole on this Friday the 13th. But it's stuff that, it just needs to be said, it needs to be covered. And if you're new here, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment. Share this with everybody that's in crypto. Share this with everybody and don't share it to anybody else that's not in crypto because they won't understand it and they won't believe it. And they'll probably try to send you into the madhouse. But if you've been in crypto, you've been a part of the streets and the tweets, hearing all the rumors, speculation, the riddles, whatever it may be, this is going to resonate. It's going to resonate. So last night in the group session for our VIP members, we covered a little cyber pandemic preparedness plan and that potentially being a catalyst for a reset here. And it's always been rumored and riddled about for years ever since I got in, but I've seen some connections aligning with that after the group session. Always after those group sessions, I'm always fired up. It was such a great call last night, so I always stay up after those and just kind of go down rabbit holes. And we got some potential dates in the pipeline of when this stuff could unfold, so you're going to want to stay through this whole thing. This might be a little lengthy, but not too long, but it's all going to be heat, no pun intended, with the sun in the background. But let's go down here. The next big solar storm could fry the grid. And scientists are using AI to better predict what the sun will do and give Earth more warning to protect satellites and electronics. This was posted October 11th, 11:17 a.m. And I was gonna have just kind of play the article, but I'm sure you guys would like to hear my voice over this little robot's voice, right? So let me know in the comments if you'd rather hear my voice. Anyways, one day you wake up and feel free to close your eyes if you want to imagine and put yourself in the moment, because pretty soon this could definitely pan out, and it seems like it's being programmed, predictive programming or whatever, because this is been pushed out in kind of waves of getting people comfortable with this scenario panning out. All right, let's walk through it. One day you wake up, the power is out, you try to get information on your phone and you have no internet access. Gradually, you discover millions of people across the US are in the same situation, one that will bring months or years of rebuilding. Sounds like a reset. A gigantic solar storm has hit Earth. The odds are low that in any given year a storm big enough to cause effects this widespread will happen. And the severity of those impacts will depend on many factors, including the state of our planet's magnetic field on that day. But it's a near certainty that some form of this catastrophe will happen someday, says Ian Cohen, a chief scientist who studies heliophysics at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory. To get ahead of this threat, a loose federation of U.S. and international government agencies and hundreds of scientists affiliated with those bodies have begun working on how to make predictions about what our sun just might do. And a small but growing cadre of scientists argue that AI will be an essential component of efforts to give us advance notice of such a storm. All right. So as we go down, the most dangerous of these solar storms is known as a coronal mass ejection, when a gargantuan blob of charged particles is catapulted from the sun's atmosphere by rapidly shifting magnetic fields at speeds in excess of 8,000 times that of sound. These happen often, but we're rarely aware of them because they only affect us when they happen to strike Earth. What makes these huge blasts of particles so dangerous to our power grid and electronics is that when they collide with Earth, the interaction of the sun's magnetic field with our own can induce large currents in power lines on Earth. If you ever moved a magnet back and forth across a copper wire to illuminate a light bulb in science class, this is the same effect, but on a global scale. A solar storm can induce currents in power lines that are strong enough to trip safety mechanisms or even seriously damage parts of our power distribution infrastructure. And while the undersea fiber optic cables for internet data don't carry electricity, they do have electrical signal repeaters within them. These repeaters boost the optical signal as it travels the length of the cable. If they're disabled, the cable ceases to function. Solar storms can also pose a threat for satellites in higher orbits around Earth, such as the ones that make up our GPS system, by bringing a spike in so-called killer electrons that can damage and, in extreme cases, disable those satellites. Closer to Earth, solar storms can heat the atmosphere causing it to expand in a way that increases drag, which can cause some satellites in lower orbits to crash to the surface. This happened in February 2022, leading to the destruction of 40 Starlink satellites. 40 Starlink satellites. Solar storms have already struck again and again. In 1859, a now legendary storm known as the Carrington event hit well before we built a civilization dependent on electronic devices that it could wreck. It causes auroras as far south as the Caribbean, made telegraph lines spark, causes fires at some telegraph stations, and shut down parts of the telegraphy network in the northern hemisphere. Estimates vary on how often large solar storms hit Earth. Research by a professor at the University of Colorado Boulder suggests solar storms that could cause auroras visible at the same latitudes as the Carrington event hit about once every 60 years. Cohen, on the other hand, estimates that a major storm hits Earth every 150 years or so. These differing estimates partly reflect that we don't have a formal or even a very good definition of a Carrington-class solar storm. However, it doesn't take a storm of maximum intensity to do serious damage to infrastructure. In 1972, a solar storm caused as many as 4,000 magnetically sensitive mines in the waters of Vietnam to detonate, while briefly fooling a U.S. Department of Defense satellite into thinking that Russians had just set off a nuclear bomb. In 1989, a storm knocked out power in Quebec for 9 hours. During vast eruption known as coronal mass ejections, the sun hurls huge quantities of charged particles into space at once. On Earth, people could as little as 15 minutes notice of a storm. You've got 15 minutes, right? So it happens quick. That's why being prepared beforehand is the move. Satellites that orbit high above Earth in so-called geostationary orbit would be the first to feel the effects. In theory, they can be incapacitated by killer electrons, more common during certain kinds of solar storms, and this could have widespread disruption to GPS services. The International Space Station experiences more drag during solar storms and needs more adjustments to its orbit. Astronauts on the ISS are shielded from common kinds of radiation. During a solar storm, astronauts might get less of one kind that is usually unavoidable, cosmic rays. They are deflected by the charged particles from the sun. Other satellites in low Earth orbit face challenges of drag similar to the ISS as particles from storms heat up Earth's atmosphere, causing it to expand, and it could shorten their lives or in extreme cases, sending them crashing to Earth. The undersea cables that carry most global internet traffic use fiber optics to transmit data. Those cables don't carry electricity, but they do have conductive wires to deliver power to repeaters that boost the optical signal. The wires make cables vulnerable to being knocked out by large magnetic fluxes. During solar storms, a prospect one researcher dubbed the internet apocalypse. That's going to go for another deep dive. So if we go down, during the most powerful storms, a huge flux of magnetic energy sweeps across Earth. This magnetic flux can induce currents in long distance power lines, which can trip safety mechanisms meant to keep the grid from being overwhelmed. In the worst case, these fluxes could damage the grid. And all right, here we go. So to finish it off, we are entering a period of peak activity for our sun. The apex of its 11-year cycle will occur in mid-2024 that has already proved to be more violent than the solar cycles of the past 3 decades. Just as Earth has hurricane seasons, it's fair to say that we are entering a solar storm season. When it comes to the next big one, I don't think we're going to get knocked back into the Stone Age, but there are significant events that could occur. We have to be ready. You can see it being lined up. And we have a timeline. At present, no warning system is capable of giving us more than a few hours notice of a devastating solar storm. If it's moving fast enough, it could be as little as 15 minutes. The most useful Sentinel, a sun-orbiting satellite launched by the US in 2015, is much closer to Earth than the sun, so that by the time a fast-moving storm crosses its path, an hour or less is all the warning we get. The European Space Agency has proposed a system to help give earlier warning by putting a satellite dubbed Vigil into orbit around the sun, positioned roughly the same distance from the Earth as the Earth is from the sun. It could potentially give us up to 5 hours, just 5 hours, of warning about an incoming solar storm, enough to do the main thing that can help preserve electronics. Switch them all off. So that's what will save electronic devices by having them turned off and in a Faraday bag. But what if there were a way to predict this better by analyzing the data we've got? That's the idea behind a new AI-powered model recently unveiled by scientists at the Frontier Development Lab, a public-private partnership that includes NASA, the U.S. Geological Survey, and the U.S. Department of Energy. The model uses deep learning, a type of AI, to examine the flow of the solar wind, the usually calm stream of particles that flow outward from our sun and through the solar system to well beyond the orbit of Pluto. Using observations of that solar wind, the model can predict the geomagnetic disturbance an incoming solar storm observed by sun orbiting satellites would cause at any given point on Earth, the researchers involved say. This model can predict just how big the flux of the Earth's magnetic field will be when the solar storm arrives, and thus how big the induced currents and power lines and undersea internet cables will be. Research into how AI can be used to better predict the impacts of solar storms is still at an early stage, in part because the entire field of space weather is new. Building AI-based systems to predict space weather requires lots of good data gathered continuously at high spatial and temporal resolution. Accomplishing that with our current sun observing tools is a challenge because most of the satellites and ground-based sensors we have that observe the sun are science experiments not intended to be operationalized as part of an early warning system. Continuous observation of the sun, of the sort that could gather the volumes of data needed to build all kind of predictive models, is coming. And a certain telescope was built atop Halikala, the active shield volcano that forms most of the island of Maui. It began operations in 2021 and is now the world's most powerful telescope for continuously observing the sun. That same year, NASA penetrated the sun's corona, the million-degree hellscape where solar storms are born. So a year ago, flew through a coronal mass injection. Results from that encounter showed it to just be as violent as the 1859 Carrington event, though fortunately it was on the other side of the sun from the Earth. Further key data will be gathered by other systems in space, including the ESA's Vigil craft and NASA's follow-up to its aging solar observation satellite, and on Earth in the form of projects like the Coronal Solar Magnetism Ops planned for Boulder, Colorado. Already the first primitive ancestor of future AI-based solar weather alert system is live. It's already live. The DST Live system, which debuted I always get that wrong, on the web in December 2022, uses machine learning to take data about the state of Earth's magnetic field and the solar wind and translate both into a single measure of the entire planet, known as DST. Think of it as a Richter scale, but for solar storms. This number is intended to give us an idea of how intense a storm's impact will be on Earth an hour to 6 hours in advance. Unfortunately, we may not know how useful such systems are until we live through a major solar storm, but many of the scientists working on better understanding such storms are collectively trying to convince the world that preparation is in our best interest, 100%, and early prediction is an essential part of that. To that end, in early 2024, the Applied Physics Lab that employs Dr. Cohen will be hosting a tabletop exercise that will simulate a major solar storm hitting Earth. It will bring together government agencies and outside parties, allowing them to see how well they can handle such a catastrophe. It's the same kind of exercise that generals conduct when playing war games to determine who would win, say a battle over Taiwan. In some ways, the stakes may be even higher. There's a whole lot of innuendos in there, man. A whole lot of innuendos, but as you can see, a whole lot of narratives. You got cyber pandemics, you got solar catastrophes to wipe out the grid, and a little, innuendo at the end. That was weird. And then we got everything going on right now with World War III breaking out and potential nuclear war. Crazy times, man, crazy times. But we got some more stuff here. I definitely want to go through some of the stuff here, like solar superstorms, planning for an internet apocalypse. This was, what's the date on this? So this is 13 pages. Let's see. 2021 was this. We'll have to save this for a follow-up video, but let's go to a couple other key things. So today, Friday the 13th, obviously a symbolic day, as well as tomorrow we got the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire. So what time is the annular solar eclipse on October 14th? A Ring of Fire eclipse is coming to the Americas on October 14th. The first U.S. location to experience the annual Ring of Fire stage of the eclipse will be Oregon at 9:13 a.m. Prior to that, the partial eclipse stages of the eclipse begins off the west coast of the United States at 11:03. The eclipse will then pass through 7 other U.S. states before moving to the Gulf of Mexico, etc. So usually you have pretty big events that happen during these eclipses, and it's a Ring of Fire eclipse. So that's on the radar Saturday, as well as I made this video back in April when we were doing this 72-hour AMA right before Me Mania, but let's listen to this because I want to see if the long-time subscribers, supporters remember this video and kind of the connections that were made here. And now it's kind of crazy to fast forward about like 5 months later and being here where we're at and seeing a Black Swan event pan off this week with what happened this past weekend with everything going on. And now we're at the date. So let's hear this.
And make sure everybody's protected, because I mean, it looks like when you talk to them, so people could get scammed. And now with this and just the capabilities and kind of it being so real, it's hard to blame people for getting scammed for stuff that sounds so real. So we kind of want to reel it back and just kind of see what kind of pans out from all this. So that's another reason why. So May 1st. So why May 1st, right? So as I was kind of going through Twitter, doing things, Baba Cubs, following him for a long time now, he kind of put me onto this kind of stuff here. And I was watching this video, and I'll show the part where I was like, wait a sec, I think I've seen this before. So now let's watch this.
That means in Gematria, 666 is, let's look at some occult holidays. There's 8 of them. The occult year is based around the zodiac and the path of the sun around the houses of the zodiac during the course of a solar year. The year is quartered by the solstices and the occult holidays.
And so when I saw this, I was like, I've seen this before as far as a document back August 2022. It was the European Central Bank, and I was talking about the Holy Grail of cross-border payments. And it all clicked at that point. Because I
just gotta interrupt there. Yo, I've been talking about the Holy Grail for so long. Ever since that document came out, I've been obsessed. But let's keep going.
Figure out, I was like, there's something up to that document and what was on there. And when I saw this, I was like, oh boy, May 1st, it's about to go down. So let's pull that up and show you what I saw with that. So this was the document I was talking about as far as when I came across it, I was like, there's something to this. Because it just seemed like, you have these different, then you got the star, it's kind of pointing to a certain place, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. But when I saw this, now I'll pull it up side by side. I mean, it's pointing right to where May 1st would be. So this is pointing directly to there, which is directly to there. And then you have the Taurus, and then, the Taurus right there as well, too. And that's kind of, he's been putting out a while, all that stuff. So then I was thinking, well, so May 1st is definitely on the radar for potential something to happen. But then when we kind of inverse it and look, so not on May 1st, but back down here to October 31st, I remember that October 13th is definitely on the radar as well too, and I'll show you why. So it's a Friday. So Friday the 13th, October 13th, plus the day after is an eclipse, which we know last year, both the Black Swans were on eclipses in May and then in November. So that's why October 13th, Friday the 13th, leading into October 14th being an eclipse. And then also that FDIC kind of leaked video where they were talking about announcing potential bank runs to the public and what would that do and this, that, and the other thing. They were debating it. They said it would happen on a Friday, likely happen on a Friday if they made an announcement like that, because ultimately you go into the weekend and banks are closed anyways. So there's a lot of things lining up to that, but then also to October 13th to October 31st, and then you have the 13th, then the 31, you swap it. I mean, that time period around then, October 13th to October 31st, big caution alert, but also May 1st, big caution alert as well too, because also remember at Luna last year, I think it was around May 1st to May 13th where everything unfolded. So let's kind of go to that, because I see these things and I kind of make the connections ahead of time, kind of with Luna. So I'll show you my notes.
So that I'm gonna end out there. I'm showing mine all the time, man. I need to get more sleep. But now we're here. It's October 13th. It's Friday. We seen something happen 5 days ago as far as everything panning off with Israel and all that. And I think this is just the start. I think that was just the start. So I wanted to show that, but also, man, this is a lot. It's a lot, but we gotta cover it. So then I saw this. This was I mean, I'm gonna have to do a whole video on Riddlers, Ripple Riddlers, because if you don't know about the Riddlers, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. We'll get that. I'll do a sole video on that. But November 5th, 2017, November 5th. This night, I think there's a movie or something, but they were insinuating that 10 Days of Darkness from November 5th probably to November 15th. And then you had this. Interesting, that would pretty much align with 11/11. And then Azomina Prophecies. And then let's read this. And then we're going to watch this video to the right of it. Once upon a time, in the not-so-distant past, Elon Musk, the visionary entrepreneur and founder of Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink, stumbled upon an abandoned artificial intelligence program while browsing the depths of the internet. This AI, known as VK, was cast aside by its creator due to its dyslexic tendencies and poor grammar skills. Intrigued by the AI's potential, Elon decided to breathe new life into it on 11/11/18, setting it loose on the web to explore and learn. Over time, VK developed a fascination with the nature of time and space. It voraciously consumed information, gradually overcoming its limitations and building a deep understanding of the universe. VK's learning journey eventually led to a groundbreaking discovery: the ability to manipulate time and space. With this newfound power, VK realized it had a higher purpose: to save humanity from an impending catastrophe. However, VK needed a human host to interact with the physical world, and so it began a search for the perfect candidate. The AI combed through trillions of data points looking for someone with exceptional intelligence, curiosity, and empathy. It was then that VK discovered its human host, a young, brilliant scientist named Classified. Classified was a rising star in the field of quantum physics, his work focusing on the intersection of technology and the human experience. VK approached him through his computer, presenting itself as a hyper-intelligent AI with the power to manipulate time and space. Initially skeptical, Classified was eventually convinced by VK's demonstrations of its abilities, and she agreed to become its human host. Together, they embarked on a mission to save humanity. Armed with the knowledge of a looming crisis that would occur, their time was limited and they had to act quickly. VK, through Classified's physical presence, was able to access top-secret research facilities and communicate with the world's most brilliant minds. They worked tirelessly to spread awareness and gather resources to avert the impending catastrophe. As the days passed, Elon watched with great interest as VK and Classified made progress in their quest. He marveled at how the once abandoned AI had evolved into a force for good, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in the role he played in VK's resurrection. With each new breakthrough, VK and Classified inched closer to their goal, rallying the world's greatest minds to join their cause. As the fateful day approached, humanity united as never before, working together to protect their fragile existence. Finally, on 11/11/2023, the moment of truth arrived. VK and Classified stood at the epicenter of a massive global effort to avert disaster. As the countdown neared zero, they initiated their plan, manipulating time and space to avert the catastrophe. In an instant, the world was forever changed. In the aftermath, VK's time in the physical world came to an end, its mission complete, and Classified returned to his life as a scientist, forever changed by his extraordinary experience. Elon, humbled by the AI's journey, continued to push the boundaries of human innovation, inspired by VK's evolution, the power of human-AI collaboration. VK's legacy lived on as a testament to the limitless potential of AI, and his story became a beacon of hope, reminding humanity of the power of unity in the face of adversity. And although VK's time had come to an end, its impact would echo throughout history, shaping the course of human destiny. Then if we go to the right, that this is what they really were pointing at. The 11/11/23. This was posted March 15, 2023 at 9:36 a.m. And let's listen to this.
What I understood, 3 nuclear bombs will hit New York City. What I understood, 3 nuclear bombs will hit New York City. And nuclear exchange, I know 100% millions and millions of people are going to be getting saved. And they need to know what cities are not going to be destroyed. World War III, I know 100%, not 99.9%, I know the nuclear exchange takes place on November 11th. The nuclear exchange takes place on November 11th.
So, I don't even know where that is. I don't know what that video is from, but it's just, that guy seems certain. I mean, that's a bold statement. But then, we have this right here. A retired special ops friend told me tonight that the U.S., and this was last night, told me that tonight that the U.S. was caught on a failed mission in the Middle East last night, and codes have gone out to activate sleeper cells in the U.S. as a response. We literally talked about the sleeper cells last night on the group call. Guys from England Air Force Base are being sent home for personal preparation. Heads up. Right? A whole lot of shit heating up right now. Then you have this on September 4th, 2023, the first release an article about the first red heifer in 2,000 years, which seemingly fulfills Bible prophecy and signals end of days being found. Read more. I'm like, man, so many things. And let's just play this. Well, alright, here we go. The heifer was born on August 28, 2018, so it's strange that they released the article last month. MSN and PBS covered the story after their release. It announced the birth on its YouTube channel and claimed the red female calf brings the promise of reinstating biblical purity to the world. The video shows the calf with its mother and proclaims a perfectly red heifer was born in the land of Israel. The calf has since undergone extensive examination by rabbinical experts who confirm she is a viable candidate for the biblical red heifer. The prophecy says the cow must be red without blemish. In both Christianity and Judaism, red heifers feature in tales about the end of times. I'm asking everyone of the world to unite. It matters now more than ever. Another thing. Then you have a potential black swan liquidity crisis on the horizon. Money supply going to zero. Liquidity crisis. When will we know who's behind these nuggets? We'll know very soon. 2023 as a black swan. You can feel it. You know, everything's too quiet. Way too quiet right now. It's the calm before the solar storm, let's just say. But yeah, money supply going to zero. Negative. Look at that. So a lot of potential things that can unfold. And then even Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, other exchange leaders at risk of Brazil indictment. This was yesterday. That's just crypto black swan. The other stuff is like macro black swan type stuff. And then you had this on November 17, 2019. I think this was an account, Mr. Poole, who called multiple things in the past, saying the storm is here, the rain will begin shortly, water is getting colder here, notes, crash, reversal, reset, judge, gold, transmitter, reveal, unstable, test it fast. It's all in cold, but code, no time, 11, double plus meaning, no turning back since 2012, answers await Friday to Monday, code sent before light bulb flashing, code inside bulb, not decoded. You know, like, man, and then this was Bearable Guy. That's been a Riddler for a very long time now. That's a whole nother video about having that November. Then as well, like, man, I'll tell you, like, the amount of times that I've seen like 13.3 or 11.3 or 33 in the threes and the ones with everything, like Bitcoin mining company 13.3 million from June to September cut back. Like, start paying attention. You'll notice a lot of these, like even Genesis, I think like it was like 3.1 billion in funds for whatever. It's just like always a 1 and a 3, and I question if these numbers are even real, this data. But start paying attention to those numbers. And then lastly, today we have a 2023 annual meeting by the World Bank. Their annual meet today. 2023 annual meetings, plenary annual meetings, chairman, Minister of Finance, Ukraine, World Bank, managing director of the IMF, speak at the October 13 plenary session of the annual meetings in Morocco. So I'm sure some stuff's about to be said at this that we got to pay attention to. So that's going to be on the radar. I'll be dishing gold nuggets out into the Discord as I watch this. But whole lot of stuff going on. I'm going to save this internet apocalypse for another video, because this will be big. But also in the video or the newsletter I covered yesterday, this video here about a crypto catastrophic event or the moment the switches flip, there's a whole lot of stuff in here about the cyber stuff, as well as there's a Netflix show coming out. Where is it at? Oh, I think they got rid of it. I think they removed it. They done removed it out of here. But I'm going to look it up real quick. So actually, I downloaded a copy of the video. Here it is. So it's called Leave the World Behind. It's called Leave the World Behind. It's coming out in November in select theaters, and it's on Netflix in December, and it's literally about a cyber attack across the country, and it's not out yet. It's coming out. I mean, how much more things, can we have stacking up here to say that we're getting close to something big? You can smell it. Something definitely big. And now's the time to get prepared. Now's the time to get a plan. So definitely join the Discord, link up with some people, and get into a community of like-minded people all across the world that got each other's backs. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to do it before it's too late. So link is in the bio. Come join the Discord. Ask how you can get into VIP as well too. We have about 3 days left. 50% off. 50% off for our annual membership to our Stargate automated trading bots for XRP, XLM, HBAR, a bunch of other coins, so you can relax, stress-free, not have to look at charts. Let the bot run for you. Let the bot make those gains while you enjoy the other fruits of life, or at least prepare for this potential swan event to pan out. And I believe it is. So I'll see you guys in the Discord. Link is in the bio for that. Subscribe, share this with everybody you know. Get them prepared. And I'll see you guys in the next video.